Hi, I'm Andy and welcome to a Watch Crave video. Today, we'll be having a look at a very affordable Seiko, the Seiko 5 SNK623. The Seiko 5 line has been around for decades now and is Seiko's longest selling watch line. The very first Seiko 5, the Seiko Sportsmatic 5, went on sales in Japan in the year of 1963. 6 decades later, this line is still being produced and has been updated to the Seiko 5 Sports line. This watch here is part of the lineup or generation of Seiko 5 that precedes the current one, and is perhaps the one with the biggest collections of models. This lineup of Seiko 5 has actually been discontinued, but you can still get a lot of these new Seiko 5 from grey market dealers and websites. This is actually not my first Seiko 5. This guy, the SNK809 is. However, I picked up this watch after seeing some images for a vintage Seiko week dater, and was fascinated by the day and date layout. Anyway, you can get this watch in 4 different color variations: the SNK619 with a white dial, the SNK621 with an ash blue dial, the SNK623 with a black dial, and a gold SNK624. I don't know if the gold version actually exists or not, as I couldn't find any pictures of it except for the model picture on the Seiko's Guys website. This one we have here is the SNK623, the black version. In terms of price, you can get the black and ash blue versions in new condition from grey market dealers for around $100 US. The white version is a bit more rare and is only available on the second-hand market. The price is similar to the other two, I believe. As for the gold, I have no idea. Let me know if you have one or have somehow managed to find one. For the packaging, since these watches are often bought from grey market dealers, the packaging you get may be a bit different depending on the shop you bought it from. In my case, I got mine from Germa Shop, and this is what I got. First we have an outer box, then an inner Seiko box, and then a manual and a warranty card. The warranty card is not filled out, which makes sense. Germa Shop and most grey market sellers aren't authorized Seiko's dealers, so when it comes to warranty, you'll have to send a watch back to them instead of going straight to a Seiko service center. Something to keep in mind if you're getting your watches from a non-authorized dealer. Now with all of that out of the way, let's get into the watch. The watch has a diameter of around 37mm. It's quite compact, I must say. Surprisingly, for the thickness, many websites state that it's 11mm, but I measure it to be 10.6mm. Now this watch has an integrated bracelet, so the lug width is about 11mm. Sadly, there probably isn't any other strap options for this watch other than the stock bracelet. The lug-to-lug measures at 43.5mm, making this watch very wearable on smaller wrist sizes. For the watch glass, we have a mineral crystal, and there doesn't seem to be any AR coating. The water resistant is rated at 30 meters. No screw down crown though, so the watch may not survive being submerged underwater. With 4 links removed to fit my 6.2-inch wrist, the watch weighs in at 107 grams. It's surprisingly lighter than a lot of other steel watches. As for the movement, this watch is running with the Seiko 7S26 automatic caliber. The 7S26 is an older Seiko workhorse movement, beating at 3 Hz or 21,600 times per hour. The movement features a day and date complication and has a power reserve of around 40 hours. Unlike its successor, the 4R36 movement, the 7S26 does not support hacking and hand winding, so the only way to power up the watch is to do the good old Seiko 5 shake. In terms of accuracy, the 7S26 claims to have an accuracy deviation of -35 to +45 seconds per day. For this particular watch, when I first received it, the accuracy was pretty shocking as it was running at +80 seconds. I figured it might have been slightly magnetized and gave it a go on my demagnetizer. After that, I now record an accuracy of +7 seconds per day, which is nicely within the deviation range. Next up, let's have a closer look at the watch. For the case, we have a stainless steel case that is polished on the top and sides. There is a chamfer edge of sorts running in between. Since this is not a dive watch, there's no rotating bezel. Instead, we have a nicely polished bezel that is beveled down toward the side. The lugs are drilled, but they are also very thick. As I mentioned earlier, the watch has an integrated bracelet, so there's not a lot of strap options for the watch. On a positive note, as always with Seiko watches, there are no pointy tips or sharp edges. Onto the back of the case, we have a screw-down display case back. The glass on the case back is also mineral crystal, similar to the top. There is some decorative text and a serial number printed on the case back. While the 7S26 is a pretty bare-bone and uninteresting movement, having a display case back is pretty cool, since Seiko 5s tends to be everyone's first mechanical watch. For the crown, we have a simple push and pull crown at the 4 o'clock position. The crown is also recessed, making it sit almost flush against the case. This is a signature Seiko 5 thing. While the crown operates pretty smoothly, one negative thing I have to point out is that it's quite small. Therefore, it can be a bit hard to grip and turn. in the case that you need to use it to adjust the time and date. Moving on to the bracelet, we have an integrated stainless steel bracelet. The middle link and the side of the bracelet are brush finish, and the outer links are polished. I'll be brutally honest, the bracelet is terrible. First, it's a folded link bracelet, a feature of cost cutting. Next, it's quite ratchety and has pretty much 0 degree of articulation. On top of that, the end links don't even fit properly. There's a 1mm gap between the lugs and the links. Surprisingly, it actually tapers from 20mm down to 18mm, and the end links do articulate down all the way, so even those with the smallest size wrist won't have any issue wearing the watch. For the clasp, we have a double push but stamped middle clasp. The clasp is brush finish and is decorated with the Seiko 5 logo. There are also 3 micro adjustment holes. Compared to the bracelet, the clasp isn't too bad. Onto the dial, we have a simple black dial with no texture. The indices are applied and polished. The 6, 9 and 12 indices are Arabic numerals, while the rest are rectangular bars. One small negative I have to say about the indices is that their legibility may be limited when viewing at certain angles. Around the edge of the dial, we have a chapter ring with lume hour indices. The lumes are, of course, Seiko LumiBrite. Below the 12 o'clock, we have an applied Seiko and the Seiko 5 logo. At the 3 o'clock, we have an unframed white date window. Finally, at the 6 o'clock position, we have a framed white day window, along with the automatic and 21 joules text. This 6 o'clock day window is the highlight of this watch. I believe that this watch, and its other 2 color variations, are the only ones in the whole Seiko 5 collection that have this day and date layout. The rest of the Seiko 5s often have a short day and 2 languages for the date wheel, as you can see here with my other Seiko 5. But this watch has the full word for the day and only 1 language, which makes this pretty cool in my opinion. The layout of the day and date also make the dial look a lot more symmetrical than the other layout. Moving on to the hands, we have a couple of dolphin hands for the hour and minute, and a needle style second hand. All hands are polished, and the hour and minute hands have a bit of lume applied in the middle. Now for the lume. As this is a Seiko, the lume is decent and does last for a fair bit of time. However, there's not much surface area that actually has lume, so you'll probably need to squint a bit to see them in the dark. So, how does it fit on my 6.2-inch wrist? Pretty well, I reckon. It's a pretty compact watch after all, with a diameters of 37mm and a lug-to-lug of 43.5mm. I reckon it'll fit nicely on any wrist sizes. It may look a bit small for those with 7+ inches wrist though. The bracelet, horrible as it may be, is still quite comfortable to wear. It's rather unfortunate that it's likely the only choice you have for this watch, but at least it's very wearable. So, what are my thoughts about this watch? Well, for the cons, I only have one thing I dislike about this watch, and it's the bloody bracelet. It's cheap, janky, and has no articulation whatsoever, and absolutely disappointing that you cannot simply swap it out for a leather strap. On the plus side, the bracelet is at least comfortable enough to wear. As for the pros, my absolute favorite thing and the reason why I bought this watch is the dial. That day and date layout is very special, and is quite rare for Seiko watches. The dial itself is also well finished, and is mostly legible. I'm actually willing to live with the bracelet just for the dial. The second plus point I would like to give the watch is the price. Considering that Seiko is charging more than $200 for a newer Seiko 5 these days, $100 is still a pretty good deal for an entry-level mechanical watch. I am aware that it is 2024, and there are a lot of watches you can get for the same price, and even for less than the Seiko, especially when it comes to homage watches. But even with that fact in mind, I reckon that this watch is still a very viable option, as it has the heritage and reliability factors that homage watches do not have. I would still recommend any Seiko 5 as an excellent first watch for those who want to get into the world of mechanical watches. And that brings us to the end of this video. What do you think about this watch? Are you interested in getting your hands on one? If you already got one, what are your thoughts about the watch? Feel free to drop a comment down below and let us know. I hope that this video helped you in some ways. If you find it enjoyable or helpful, please drop a like and subscribe for future videos. As a growing channel, I really appreciate your support. Until next time.